Today, Grandma Catherine, we're making her Italian cream-filled sponge cake. Tastes like it comes from an Italian bakery, but you're gonna make it at home. The star of the show is the Italian cream. Here I have it in the center of the cake and also on top. We've covered it with berries, but I'm gonna show you a couple other ways to serve it. In between the cream is a gorgeous sponge cake, super light, super airy, a perfect combo between the cream and the sponge cake. Taking a bite into this cake on a hot summer day, you absolutely can't go wrong. For this recipe, I do a classic 13x9 cake pan. I love this one because it has nice square edges, but we are going to trim a little bit off of the edges of this cake, so if you have a rounded edge pan, that's absolutely fine. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little pad of softened butter, we're gonna stick it into the pan and get a little paper towel, and we are just gonna give a light coating. This butter actually will not touch the cake, but what it does is it provides a really great adhering mechanism for your parchment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a sheet of parchment paper, we're gonna throw it into the pan, and then what happens is you want this to be really cleanly applied to the pan. It especially helps in the corners and on the sides. All right, we've got that good. The last thing I'm gonna tell you is the parchment gives you a little handle. So when your cake is ready to pop out of the pan, you're just gonna pull it up, use that parchment paper, perfect. There she is. We're gonna set her aside until we need her again. So first things first with the cake, this is the job that my Grandma Catherine always gave to me. We are separating the whites and the yolks from our 8 eggs. Got my 8 eggs here. I do this the old-fashioned way. This is the way my grandma taught me. She gave me this job. She trusted me with it. There's so many ways you can do this, but I'm using my hands because I find it to be the best. So you're gonna take your egg, crack it gently, and then I just release the yolk into my hands, and then I let the whites fall out into the bowl. Now, you really don't wanna get any yolk into this bowl of whites, so be gentle. I find it's best to get a fresh manicure so that your hands and your nails don't cut the yolk and break it. That's a hot tip from me. Pick any color you like. So I'm gonna go ahead and separate all of these eggs. I'm gonna put the yolk into the mixer bowl, and then I'm going to put the whites into this other bowl here. We are gonna use these whites in a minute. They are very important to our recipe. There we go. That's all yolks. Sorry, I had to say it. We're gonna beat these with 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm using granulated sugar here. That's flour. That would not be smart. This is my sugar. We're gonna use 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, pour it right into the bowl, and we are going to mix away. This cake is really, really simple. You just have to follow the instructions fairly closely. I'm gonna throw this down, lock it, and then we're gonna mix this until it gets nice and frothy. I'm gonna show you. It's very, very sort of like frothy. It's got a lot of air in it. I'm going to toss this into my mixing bowl. We have our eggs and our sugar, super frothy. We've got a sifter. This is a sifter, that's what it's called. We are going to sift our flour. What kind of flour are we using? Cake flour. Very important. We want this cake to be as light and airy as possible. Cake flour will get you there. We are going to sift 1.5 cups of cake flour. Toss that right into the sifter. And then we are gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Get that in here. This is a little bit easier to level off. Perfect. Okay, so now this is the most soothing part of the recipe. We just get to lightly tap the sifter and let all that gorgeous flour fall into the bowl, like so. We are going to take that gorgeous, light, fluffy flour, cake flour, and we're gonna fold it in to the egg mixture, okay? So we're just gonna grab it, go from the bottom of the bowl and fold it over. It takes a minute it's sort of dry, and then you'll get to the place where it's all nicely incorporated. You just don't want to overmix it, which is why you're folding gently in. And place this aside. Let's make some egg whites. We have those 8 egg whites that we very carefully separated from the yolks. We're gonna pour them into our stand mixer. Again, hand mixer absolutely works here as well. I am going to tell you that probably doing this by hand would be challenging. You really need some electric energy behind you. So hand mixer or stand mixer is great here. Okay, we start kind of slow. Luckily my kitchen mixer is completely mirror, so I can stare at myself while the egg yolks get stiff, and it's just like magic. I think we did it. Look at that. It's not even falling off the spoon. Like, it's anti-gravity eggs. It's really, really where you want to be. So give them a final little stir. They look incredible. Super, super light. All that air is in there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my previous batter with the flour, the eggs, and the sugar. I'm gonna throw these in there. Boom. Okay. This is really fun. It's almost like shaving cream in its consistency. Don't shave with it. So we've got these gorgeous light eggs, and we really do not wanna deflate them, okay? So we're gonna gently fold the batter into the eggs. They are extremely different consistencies. It's going to feel like they're not going to become one. I promise you, they absolutely are. It just takes a little bit of patience and definitely getting that really heavy, frothy batter of the egg and the sugar and the flour to fold in to these extremely light and delicate egg whites. It's a good arm exercise. So you do really end up with that gorgeous light batter that is going to bake into just the spongiest cake you've ever experienced. We're just gonna give it a nice, simple pour into the pan. Can we just get like a little close up on these air bubbles? It's like the fizzy water of cakes. I'm so excited. Let's get her into the oven. We're going 350 for 30 to 35 minutes. Keep an eye on her, as you should always do. Every time you're baking something, it's gonna look incredible. Awesome. So while the cake is baking in the oven, we're gonna make the Italian cream. This is truly one of my most favorite memories from my childhood. We ate this Italian cream in so many amazing things. We're gonna use 6 eggs in the cream, which really takes it to just a great spot. So we are going to add a few of the ingredients into the pot that we're going to cook the custard in. Custard cream, I'm gonna call it both. I like to call it a cream, but it is also very much a custard. So we have 4 cups of whole milk, which we are going to add into here. We are also going to add a cup each of all-purpose flour and a cup of granulated sugar. Now we're gonna add 6 eggs. So this part of the recipe means a lot to me. My grandmother was so amazing, and she had a twin sister who sadly didn't make it past birth. So my grandmother would always add an extra egg into every recipe that she made as a way to honor her sister Diana, who again, unfortunately, didn't make it past birth. And I think for me, adding that extra egg into this recipe not only makes it more delicious, but it actually honors my grandmother and her sister. So I think it's really important. I do it right into the pot, and then what we do is we will grab a whisk, and we will, before we put it on the heat, we're just gonna mix everything together with the whisk. This recipe, I can hear my grandmother in my head just saying, beat it, you have to keep beating it. because throughout the recipe, there's flour, there's sugar in here. It does get a little lumpy. So I like to break the eggs, give it a good mix with the whisk before I get it on the heat. And then throughout the whole recipe, you're just really whisking. And that's really, really important because Grandma told us we have to do it. Now that we've got this mixed together, we're gonna move over to the stove and get it on a medium heat and just whisk away until it gets nice and thick. Okay, so I've been whisking this continuously on medium heat for about 10 minutes. It's nice and delicious and thick, as you can see. Now we're gonna pull it off the heat and finish off the cream. I'm going to take 8 tablespoons or a stick of salted butter, toss that in here, and then I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons each of almond extract and vanilla extract. Now, remember what Grandma said. We've gotta beat this thing until it's nice and smooth. We still have some lumps in there. That's okay, totally normal. We're gonna get this going, throw it in, and get things mixing, and incorporate all that butter, let it melt, and get all those extracts evenly incorporated. And I'm gonna pull these out, give it 1 or 2 more little stirs, and then we are gonna let this gorgeous cream cool for a little bit. So it just comes to room temp so that we can have our assembly moment with our cake. In a few minutes, when she's firmed up a little bit, we're gonna grab a hold of our little parchment handles, put her on this rack to let her come to fully room temp so that we can start having some fun with assembly. This is a cold cake. We serve it cold. So what we're gonna do is, if you're serving this same day, you can throw it in the fridge as such. If you're serving it the next day, I would just cover it because you don't want too much air to get into the cake. It's not a bad idea to cover it either way, but if you're just going a couple hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours, you could throw this in the fridge uncovered. The colder it gets, the more delicious and the more refreshing it is for you to take a bite of. So I'm gonna throw this in the fridge. And then I'm gonna show you a couple more ways that I assemble this cake and serve it, because this is not the only way. I'm giving you options. When do I ever make all 3 of these cakes at once? This is a huge day. We've got toasted coconut, we've got pistachio, and we've got mixed berry. Delicious. Oh my gosh. Y'all, that's just it. Absolutely the best. It has been such a joy to share my cake with you. This is such a beautiful family recipe. I hope that you all make it. I hope that you enjoy eating cake as much as I do. Now, you guys gotta go, because you don't want to see the rest of this. I am going to absolutely devour these. You can find me at danpelosi.com for recipes. You can find some of my recipes on food52.com. You can find me at Grossy Pelosi on Instagram. And for the next good hour, you can find me here eating these cakes. Happy summer. I hope this cake becomes part of your summer traditions. If you make it, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. And if you want me back on Food 52, let them know.